Darkness, complete and suffocating. A child's voice cuts through the void, small, trembling, brave despite the fear. "Daddy, it's dark here, I'm scared." The sound of shallow breathing, a hiccup, the beginning of tears held back by sheer willpower. "Mr. Whiskers says you'll find me. He says you always find me when we play hide and seek." A pause, the kind that stretches into eternity. "Please, Daddy, please find me soon." Then another voice, adult, male, cold as winter steel. "Your father took everything from me, boy. Everything that mattered. Now I take you from him." The sound of a door closing, a lock sliding into place. The darkness becomes complete. "Daddy?" The small voice again, smaller now. "Are you there?" Only silence answers. Marcus Sullivan stood at the window of his corner office on the 42nd floor, looking out over Manhattan as if he owned it. And in many ways he did, at least the parts that mattered. The hotels that bore his family name stretched across the skyline like monuments to ambition. 12 properties in Manhattan alone, 43 across the eastern seaboard. A hospitality empire built from nothing by a man who understood that success was measured in square footage and quarterly earnings. He was 38 years old, sandy blonde hair beginning to show distinguished threads of silver at the temples. Blue-gray eyes that missed nothing in a boardroom negotiation. 6 feet 1 inch of tailored confidence in a suit that cost more than most people made in a month. The Wall Street Journal had called him a visionary. Forbes had put him on their cover. Success magazine had dubbed him the golden boy of American hospitality. None of those accolades mentioned that he was also profoundly, achingly alone. The oak desk behind him held the evidence of his triumph. Contracts waiting for signature. An expansion deal worth $50 million. Stock certificates, property deeds, and one small framed photograph that he tried not to look at too often because it reminded him of everything his success had cost. Nathan, his son, 5 years old in the picture, light brown hair that never stayed combed, hazel eyes that saw wonder in everything, freckles scattered across his nose like constellations, a gap-toothed smile that could melt the hardest negotiating position Marcus had ever held. The phone on his desk vibrated. Unknown number. Marcus glanced at it with the dismissive irritation of a man whose time was measured in thousands of dollars per hour. He had a meeting in 15 minutes. The expansion contracts needed review. His secretary had already buzzed twice about the caterers for the evening's reception. But something made him reach for it. Some instinct buried beneath layers of business acumen and rational thought. The kind of instinct that evolution builds into fathers, whether they acknowledge it or not. He picked up. "Mr. Sullivan?" The voice on the other end carried the flat, official tone that police officers use when they have to deliver the kind of news that shatters worlds. "This is Officer Bennett with the NYPD. Sir, I need you to confirm your address and your son's full name for me." Marcus felt his throat tighten. "Nathan Alexander Sullivan, what's happened?" A pause, the kind that lasts a heartbeat but feels like a lifetime. "Sir, there's been an incident at the Riverside Athletic Club. Your son was participating in his swimming lesson when—" Another pause, longer this time. "Mr. Sullivan, I'm very sorry to inform you that there was a drowning incident. The paramedics responded immediately. They performed resuscitation attempts for 47 minutes. They did everything possible." I'm so sorry, sir. Your son didn't make it." The phone slipped from Marcus's hand. Not dropped, slipped, as if his fingers had forgotten how to maintain their grip on reality itself. It hit the edge of his desk with a crack that seemed impossibly loud. Then the carpet. The officer's voice continued speaking from somewhere near his feet, tinny and distant. "Sir, Mr. Sullivan, can you hear me?" Marcus stared at the photograph on his desk. Nathan's smile looked back at him, frozen in permanent joy. This morning at breakfast, Nathan had been excited about his swimming lesson. He demonstrated his dolphin dive right there in the kitchen, arms over his head, jumping from the tile floor. Marcus had been checking emails on his phone, only half listening. "Daddy, watch me. I'm going to swim like a dolphin today." "That's great, buddy." Not looking up. "Daddy has a big meeting this afternoon." "You always have big meetings." A note of disappointment that Marcus had been too distracted to fully register. When do we have big time together? When do we have big time together? Those had been his son's last words to him. A question Marcus had brushed aside with a distracted smile and a promise of, "Soon, champ, I promise." How many times had he made that promise? How many times had soon meant never? The office seemed to tilt, the walls closing in, the air too thick to breathe. Marcus gripped the edge of his desk with both hands, knuckles white, trying to anchor himself to something solid as his world came apart at its foundations. A sound reached his ears, distant and animal, raw grief without language. It took him several seconds to realize it was coming from his own throat. His secretary's voice crackled over the intercom. "Mr. Sullivan, your car is ready as requested." He had no memory of requesting the car. Perhaps his subconscious had acted while his conscious mind was still catching up to the impossible reality. Perhaps some part of him had known, even before Officer Bennett finished speaking, that his life had just divided into before and after this moment. Marcus retrieved his phone from the floor with shaking hands. "Where is he?" "St. Catherine's Hospital, sir. On the east side. I'm so very sorry." The phone went dead, or perhaps Marcus ended the call. He couldn't remember. The next thing he knew, he was in the elevator, descending 42 floors while his reflection in the polished steel doors showed him a man he no longer recognized. Red-rimmed eyes, face drained of color, tie askew. The golden boy of American hospitality reduced to just another father who had failed at the only job that truly mattered. St. Catherine's Hospital occupied an entire city block on the east side of Manhattan. Modern glass and steel architecture designed to project confidence and cutting-edge care. Marcus had donated $500,000 to their pediatric wing 3 years ago. His name was on a plaque in the main lobby. None of that mattered now. He walked through the automatic doors like a man underwater, everything muted, distant, unreal. People moved around him, hospital staff and visitors going about their business in a world that had somehow kept turning, even though his own had stopped completely. "My son." His voice came out as a rasp. "Nathan Sullivan. There was an accident." The receptionist's face transformed the moment she looked up. That particular expression of professional sympathy mixed with personal horror that people reserve for parents in his situation. She made several quick calls, speaking in low, urgent tones. Within minutes, a doctor appeared. Middle-aged, Caucasian, gray hair and wire-rimmed glasses, tired eyes that had seen too much suffering. "Mr. Sullivan, I'm Dr. Harrison. I'm so deeply sorry for your loss." Marcus nodded, the only response his body seemed capable of producing. "I need you to identify the body." Dr. Harrison spoke gently, as if addressing something fragile that might shatter at any moment. "I know this is impossibly difficult, but it's necessary for the official record. Are you ready?" What a question. Ready to identify his 5-year-old son's corpse? Ready to confirm that the light had gone out of those hazel eyes forever? Ready to admit that all his success, all his money, all his power meant nothing when it came to the one thing that actually mattered? But Marcus nodded again, because what else was there to do? The walk to the morgue took them through white corridors lit by fluorescent lights that seemed too bright and too cold. Dr. Harrison explained things as they walked. Marcus heard perhaps one word in 5. Cardiorespiratory arrest, drowning, prolonged resuscitation attempts. No response. Everything we could. They passed through a gray door with a small window. The room beyond was exactly what Marcus had expected and nothing he could have prepared for. Small, cold, white tile walls that reflected the harsh lighting. The smell of disinfectant attempting and failing to mask something more fundamental beneath it. An odor that would be burned into his memory forever, linking this moment to every future encounter with hospital antiseptic. In the center of the room, a gurney. A small form beneath a white sheet. "Take your time," Dr. Harrison said softly. Time. As if time meant anything anymore. The doctor approached the gurney and looked at Marcus one final time, seeking permission or perhaps offering a last chance to turn back. Marcus nodded, his third nod in as many minutes, the only communication he seemed capable of. Dr. Harrison pulled back the sheet. A child's face appeared, pale, peaceful, almost as if sleeping, except for the absolute stillness that no sleep could match. Light brown hair, still damp, freckles across the nose, blue swim trunks with yellow stars visible at the edge of the sheet. Marcus's legs buckled. He caught himself against the gurney, hands gripping cold steel. A sound tore from his throat. Not a word, not even a cry, something more primal. The sound of a father's heart breaking into pieces too small to ever fully reassemble. He reached out to touch his son's face, then stopped halfway. Afraid, terrified that the touch would make it real in a way that sight alone could not. That cold skin would confirm what his mind was still desperately trying to deny. "Nathan," he whispered, "please, please don't leave me." But Nathan had already left. The body on the gurney was just an echo, a shell, the spark that had made him Nathan, that had asked about big time together and jumped around the kitchen pretending to be a dolphin. That spark was gone. 5 years ago, on a rainy September night, Marcus had held his newborn son and felt a purpose bloom in his chest that no business deal had ever provided. He had looked into those infant eyes and made silent promises about the man he would be, the father he would be, present, attentive, there for every milestone. He had broken every single one of those promises. "I'm sorry," Marcus sobbed, finally letting his fingers rest against cold skin. "I'm so sorry. I should have been there. I should have, God, Nathan, I should have sent that text. I should have told you I loved you this morning. I should have, past tense, the cruelest tense in any language." Dr. Harrison's hand rested gently on Marcus's shoulder. "Take all the time you need, Mr. Sullivan." But no amount of time would ever be enough. Marcus stayed there, kneeling beside the gurney until his knees ached and his tears dried, and the hospital lights burned permanent after images into his vision. At some point, his phone buzzed. Sarah Anderson, Nathan's nanny. He answered without thinking. "Mr. Sullivan," her voice shattered by sobs. "I'm so sorry. I only looked away for 1 minute. I swear to God, he was with the instructor. And then, Marcus hung up without responding. He had nothing to say, no comfort to offer, no blame to assign. Only an emptiness so vast it threatened to swallow everything. He forced himself to stand, to leave, to walk back through those white corridors toward a world that no longer made sense. But something nagged at him, some detail his grief-shrouded mind had registered but not fully processed. Something about the body. Marcus paused in the hallway, trying to grasp the thought before it slipped away. Nathan's hands, the fingers. Nathan had been learning to write his name, practiced every night with fierce concentration. The repetitive motion had left a small callus on his right index finger, just below the first knuckle. Marcus had noticed it last week when they were coloring together. One of the rare evenings Marcus had made it home before Nathan's bedtime. The child on that gurney, those smooth, uncalloused hands. Marcus shook his head, grief playing tricks, making him see discrepancies where none existed. Dr. Harrison had called it Nathan. Sarah had been there at the pool. The body wore Nathan's swim trunks, blue with yellow stars, Nathan's favorite. And yet, "Dr. Harrison?" Marcus turned back. "Nathan's teddy bear, Mr. Whiskers. He always had it with him. Where is it?" Dr. Harrison checked a clipboard. His personal effects were limited, the swim trunks, a swim cap. No toys were recovered from the scene. "That's not possible." The certainty rose through Marcus's fog of grief. Nathan never went anywhere without Mr. Whiskers. Never. He slept with it every night, took it to school, even brought it to swim lessons. Perhaps he left it at home this morning? Marcus pulled out his phone and called Sarah again. She answered on the first ring, voice thick with tears. "Trura, where's Mr. Whiskers?" What? "Nathan's teddy bear, where is it?" A pause. "He left it in my car this morning. I was going to bring it after his lesson, but..." Marcus ended the call, stared at his phone. Nathan had left Mr. Whiskers behind. Nathan, who insisted on having that bear within arm's reach at all times, who had a full breakdown at age 3 when they accidentally left it at a restaurant and had to drive back to retrieve it. Something was wrong. Marcus couldn't articulate what or why, but in his gut, beneath the overwhelming grief, a seed of doubt had been planted. He needed air. Marcus found himself in a side alley behind the hospital without any clear memory of how he got there. Muscle memory, instinct, the need to escape the suffocating sympathy and clinical coldness of the building. The sky was darkening into twilight. Streaks of orange and purple painted the clouds, colors too vivid, too beautiful for a day like this. The disconnect between the world's indifference and his personal agony felt obscene. He leaned against the brick wall and slid down until he was sitting on cold concrete, knees drawn up, head in his hands. The mighty Marcus Sullivan, master of his universe, reduced to broken pieces in a hospital alley. "Mister?" The voice was small, female, young. Marcus looked up to find a little girl standing a few feet away, watching him with large, wary eyes. She couldn't have been more than 5 or 6, Caucasian, with dark brown hair that hung in tangled waves past her shoulders, green eyes that seemed far too observant for someone her age, pale skin with smudges of dirt on her cheeks, clothes that had seen better days and probably belonged to someone else originally, an oversized jacket with a tear in one sleeve, sneakers held together more by hope than by remaining stitching. A street kid. Marcus had seen plenty of them in Manhattan, usually gave money to the shelters but never engaged directly. Too many problems, too complicated, not his responsibility. Now one stood before him, looking at him with something uncomfortably close to pity. "You shouldn't be here," Marcus said, trying to wipe the tears from his face. "It's not safe. Where are your parents?" The girl didn't answer the question. Instead, she took a step closer, glancing back toward the street as if checking for someone following her. "Your son isn't dead," she said quietly. "I saw them take him." The words hit Marcus like a physical blow. He stared at her, trying to process what she just said. Some kind of sick joke? A confused child mixing up people and events? His grief conjuring hallucinations? "What did you say?" "Your son, from the pool. He's not dead. I saw who took him." Marcus pushed himself to his feet, suddenly dizzy. "What are you talking about? Who are you?" "My name's Emma." She shifted from foot to foot, nervous energy barely contained. "Emma Reeves. I work at the Riverside Club sometimes. Joe, the security guard, he's nice. He lets me help with towels and stuff, and he gives me food from the cafeteria." "You were there at the club?" Emma nodded. "I was in the locker room when I heard people screaming. I ran out to see what happened. That's when I saw your son." Marcus's heart was pounding now, hope and skepticism warring in his chest. "You saw Nathan? In the pool?" "Not in the pool. At the edge. He was coughing, water coming out of his mouth. He was alive." The world seemed to tilt. Marcus gripped the brick wall for support. That's not possible," the paramedic said. "I know what they said." Emma's voice was firm despite her small size. "But I know what I saw. A man pulled him out of the water. Tall man with gray hair on the sides. He wore an expensive suit and had a really big watch. It was shiny, blue on the face." Marcus felt like he was falling, or drowning, or both. "What happened then?" "The man picked your son up and carried him to the parking lot, put him in a big black car, a Mercedes, I think. Then he drove away." This was before the ambulance got there, before everyone started crying and calling 911. Why, why didn't you tell anyone?" Iman looked down at her worn sneakers. "I tried. I told Joe. He said I was confused, that I must have seen something else. He said to go away and not bother the adults, so I left." Marcus studied her face, searching for signs of deception or confusion or childish fantasy. But Emma met his gaze steadily, no nervousness in her eyes despite her fidgeting body, just certainty. "How do you know it was my son?" Emma reached into her jacket pocket and pulled out a crumpled, dirty piece of paper. "He was wearing swim trunks, blue with yellow stars on them. I wrote it down because it seemed important." Marcus took the paper with shaking hands, written in careful child's handwriting. Blue trunks, yellow stars. Below that, a crude but surprisingly detailed drawing of a watch, and at the bottom, a license plate number, QX7429B. "You wrote down the license plate?" "I write down weird things. It helps me remember. My brain keeps pictures better than most people's. At least that's what the shelter lady said before she kicked me out." Marcus stared at the paper, blue swim trunks with yellow stars. That was right. The body in the morgue had been wearing those exact trunks. But if Emma had seen Nathan alive, then who was on that gurney? There's something else, Emma said quietly. Your son has a scar behind his right ear, shaped like a little lightning bolt, like Harry Potter. Marcus's blood turned to ice. The scar. Nathan had gotten it at age 3, falling against a coffee table corner. It was hidden by hair, barely visible unless you knew to look for it. The family joked about it sometimes, called Nathan their little wizard. Nobody outside the family knew about that scar. Nobody. How do you know about the scar? His voice came out as a whisper. When I got to the pool, your son was sitting at the edge. He was adjusting his swim cap, said it hurt his scar, took the cap off for a second. That's when I saw it. One of the instructors asked him what happened, and he told the story about falling when he was 3. Marcus's legs gave out again. He sat down hard on the concrete. This couldn't be happening. This couldn't be real. But Emma knew details she shouldn't know. Couldn't know. Unless, what did this man look like, the one who took Nathan? Emma closed her eyes and Marcus realized she was visualizing, pulling up a memory with the kind of clarity that most adults had lost. Tall, maybe as tall as you, dark hair with gray streaks, especially at the sides, sharp nose, expensive clothes, like businessmen wear. The watch was really fancy, silver with a blue face, and he had a small scar on his chin. Right here. She touched her own chin to demonstrate. Did you see his face clearly? Not up close, I was too far away. But I'd know him if I saw him again. I remember faces. Marcus pulled out his phone, opened the photo gallery, scrolled until he found a picture from 5 years ago, a company event, he and several business associates standing in front of a construction site. He zoomed in on one face and held the phone out to Emma. Is this the man? Emma studied the photo carefully. I don't think so. This man's hair is different, and no scar on the chin. Marcus tried another photo, then another. Emma shook her head each time. Whoever had taken Nathan, Marcus didn't have his picture readily available, which meant it wasn't someone from his immediate circle, or it was someone from so long ago that Marcus had purged them from his photo library. Miss Emma, Marcus realized he was using his son's teddy bear voice, the gentle tone he reserved for Nathan's bedtime stories. If what you're telling me is true, if Nathan is really alive, then I need your help. I need you to remember everything you can. Every detail, no matter how small. Emma nodded seriously. I'll try. But mister, you should know something. I heard the man talking on his phone while he was carrying your son to the car. He said, she paused, seeming to search for the exact words. He said, phase 1 complete. The father will be devastated. Move to phase 2. Phase 1, say. Phase 2, the language of a plan, of something orchestrated and intentional. Not an accident, a kidnapping. Emma, I need you to come with me. We need to tell the police everything you saw. But Emma shook her head violently, backing away. No police. They'll send me back to the shelter. Or worse, they'll make me live with the Wilkins family again. Who are the Wilkins? Foster family. Emma's face closed down. I'm not going back there. Ever. Marcus held up his hands in a placating gesture. Okay, no police right now, but Emma, please. Nathan is my son, my only child. If there's even the smallest chance he's alive, I have to find him. Will you help me? Emma studied him for a long moment. Whatever she saw in his face seemed to satisfy her, because she nodded slowly. I'll help, but I'm not going to any shelters. You can stay with me, in my apartment. I have a guest room. You'll be safe, I promise. Why would you do that for me? You don't know me. Marcus looked at this small girl who had appeared out of nowhere with impossible information and careful observations. Because you might be the only person who can help me get my son back. And because, he swallowed hard, because you believed what you saw when the adults didn't. That takes courage. Emma considered this, then stepped forward and placed her small, dirty hand in his. Okay, but if you try anything weird, I'll run. I'm really fast. Fair enough. As they walked back toward the hospital entrance where Marcus's car was waiting, Emma glanced up at him. Mr. Sullivan? Yes? Your son said something. Right before the man took him. He said, my daddy will find me. He always finds me when we play hide and seek. Marcus felt tears burning in his eyes again. But these were different tears. Not grief, Not hopelessness, something harder, sharper, determination. He's right, Marcus said quietly. I will find him. Marcus's penthouse apartment occupied the top 2 floors of a building in Tribeca. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered panoramic views of the Manhattan skyline. Modern furniture, minimalist design, the kind of space featured in architectural magazines, and utterly, completely lifeless. Emma walked in and stopped dead, staring around with wide eyes. You live here? By yourself? Yes. It's so big and so empty. Out of the mouths of children. Emma had managed to articulate in 5 words what Marcus's therapist had been dancing around for months. Success bought space. It didn't buy fullness. Are you hungry? Marcus asked. I can order food. Can I take a shower first? A real one with hot water? The question broke something in Marcus's chest. When had this child last had access to hot water? Of course. Let me show you the guest room. The guest bedroom had its own attached bathroom with a shower large enough for 3 people. Marcus found some of Nathan's old clothes. Too big for Emma, but better than what she was wearing. He left them on the bed along with towels and soap. Take your time. I'll order pizza. Any preferences? I like pizza. Emma said it with the reverence of someone for whom pizza was a luxury, not a casual dinner option. While Emma showered, Marcus made calls. First to David Chen, his lawyer, and one of his few genuine friends from college. David was also Taiwanese American, which meant he understood the particular pressures of high-achieving immigrant families. He answered on the second ring. Marcus, I heard about Nathan. Jesus, I'm so sorry. What can I do? Can you come to my apartment? Now I need your help with something. Of course, give me 20 minutes. Next, Marcus called Frank Doyle. Frank was the kind of man who existed in the margins of polite society. Ex-NYPD detective who had left under circumstances that were never fully explained. Now he ran a private investigation service that specialized in finding things people wanted to stay hidden. Marcus had used him twice before, once to vet a business partner who turned out to have 3 secret bankruptcies, once to track down the biological parents of a hotel employee who had been adopted as an infant. Frank had found them both. Mr. Sullivan, I heard the news. My condolences. Frank, I need you to run a license plate for me. QX7429B. I need to know who owns the vehicle, where they live, and everything you can dig up on them. A pause. This about your son? Yes. You know something the police don't? Maybe, I'm not sure yet. Can you do it? Give me an hour. By the time Emma emerged from her shower, pink-skinned and wearing Nathan's 2 large pajamas, David had arrived. He took one look at Emma and then at Marcus with raised eyebrows. Marcus, who is this? This is Emma Reeves. Emma, this is David Chen. He's a lawyer and an old friend. A lawyer? Emma looked suspicious. Are you going to make me go to the shelter? No one is making you go anywhere, David said gently. He had kids of his own, knew how to talk to them. But I would like to hear why you're here. Over pizza, Emma told her story again. David listened without interrupting, occasionally making notes on his phone. When she finished, he looked at Marcus. You believe her? She knew about the scar, David, and the swim trunks, details she couldn't possibly know unless she was there and Nathan was alive. It's a big leap from that to kidnapping. I know, but something felt wrong at the morgue. The body, Marcus trailed off, not wanting to say too much in front of Emma. I need you to do something for me, quietly. Can you get access to the medical examiner's report? Specifically, can you get someone to check fingerprints? David's expression shifted. You think that might not be Nathan's body? I don't know what I think, but I need to know for certain. That's going to take some calls, some favors, and it's going to be unofficial. I understand. David stood. Let me make some calls. Marcus, if you're right about this. He didn't finish the sentence. Didn't need to. They both understood the implications. After David left, Marcus set Emma up in the guest room. She clutched the oversized pajamas and looked up at him with those 2 observant green eyes. Thank you for the pizza and the shower and not sending me away. You're welcome, Emma. Try to get some sleep. Tomorrow we have work to do. Mr. Sullivan, your son is really brave. When the man was carrying him away, he wasn't crying or screaming. He was just quiet, like he was thinking, planning. Marcus felt a surge of pride pierce through his anxiety. That sounds like Nathan. I think he's still being brave wherever he is, waiting for you to find him. I will find him. Emma nodded, then slipped into the guest room and closed the door. Marcus stood in his empty living room, looking out at the glittering Manhattan skyline. Somewhere out there, his son was alive, waiting, being brave. And Marcus was going to turn this entire city upside down to bring him home. His phone buzzed. Frank, got your license plate. Vehicle registered to Daniel Cross Consulting LLC. Owner is Daniel Cross, age 41, Caucasian male, former private investigator. Lost his license 3 years ago after assault charges. Been doing freelance security consulting since then. Want me to dig deeper? Yes, everything you can find. Where he lives, who he works for, any connection to me or my company. On it. Marcus, one more thing. I ran Daniel Cross through a few databases. Guy's got military training, special forces. If he's involved in something, he's not just muscle. He's smart and he's dangerous. Noted. Keep digging. Marcus hung up and immediately called David back. Any luck with the medical examiner? Got a friend looking at it now, Dr. Lisa Park. She's willing to check the fingerprints off the books. Says she'll have something by morning. Thank you. Marcus poured himself a whiskey, sat on his couch, stared at his phone, at the last text messages to Nathan that he'd never sent, at the photo of his son smiling with that gap-toothed grin. Hold on, buddy, Daddy's coming. His phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Marcus's heart rate spiked as he answered. Hello? Silence. Then a click. And a voice, Nathan's voice. Daddy, where are you? It's dark and I'm scared. Mr. Whiskers misses you. I'm trying to be brave like you taught me. Please find me, Daddy. Please. The message ended. Then came a text from the same unknown number. A photo. Nathan asleep in an unfamiliar room, clutching Mr. Whiskers, tear stains visible on his cheeks. Then the words that made Marcus's blood run cold. You have 48 hours to transfer controlling shares of Sullivan Grand Hotels to a designated trustee. Instructions will follow. Try anything, and your son becomes the body in that morgue. We are watching. V. Marcus stared at the message. The photo. Nathan alive. Nathan scared but alive. And someone wanted to take everything from him, and not just his son, his company too. A sound made him turn. Emma stood in the doorway of the guest room, too small in Nathan's oversized pajamas. Is that him? Is that your son? Marcus nodded, not trusting his voice. Emma walked over and looked at the photo on his phone. See, I told you he was alive. Emma, the people who took Nathan, they're dangerous. This is going to get worse before it gets better. You can still walk away. I can give you money, set you up somewhere safe. You don't have to be part of this. Emma shook her head firmly. Nathan is my friend. I saw him first. I'm not leaving until we find him. Marcus looked down at this fierce little girl who had nothing and was willing to risk what little she had for a boy she'd seen once at a pool. And he understood why his son would have that kind of effect on people. Nathan had always drawn protectors to him, even at 5 years old. Okay, Marcus said, then we do this together. Emma held out her small hand. Marcus shook it solemnly. 48 hours, Emma said. We can do a lot in 48 hours. Marcus hoped she was right, because somewhere in this city, his son was waiting in the dark, being brave, trusting that his daddy would find him. And Marcus was going to tear down every wall, every obstacle, every enemy between him and Nathan, no matter what it cost. 48 hours, 2 days, 2,880 minutes, each one ticking away like drops of blood falling into darkness. Marcus stood at his penthouse window, watching the city lights blur through exhaustion and something harder than tears. His phone lay on the coffee table behind him, Nathan's voice still echoing in his memory. That small, brave tremor, the way his son was trying so hard to be strong even though he was terrified. Emma had fallen asleep on his couch, curled into a tight ball despite having her own room. Marcus understood. When you'd spent enough time without safety, you learned to stay where you could see the exits, where you could run if you needed to. His phone buzzed. David, I got Lisa to look at the body. Marcus, You were right to be suspicious. Marcus's heart lurched. Tell me. The fingerprints don't match Nathan's birth records. Not even close. Different ridge patterns, different classification entirely. She also checked dental records. Two baby teeth still intact that Nathan lost last year. Height is off by almost 2 inches. And that birthmark you mentioned, the one on his shoulder blade, not there. The room spun. Marcus sat down hard in his leather chair. Then who is in that morgue? Lisa doesn't know, but she's putting the pieces together. She thinks maybe a recently deceased child from another jurisdiction. Someone who matched Nathan's general description. Blonde hair, similar age, similar build. How would someone even arrange that? Money buys a lot of things, Marcus, including access to morgue records, transport services, people willing to look the other way. This wasn't some spur-of-the-moment crime. This was planned months in advance. Marcus closed his eyes, saw Nathan's face, saw that photo of him sleeping with Mr. Whiskers. Tears dried on his cheeks. What do I do, David? They want me to sign over my company. If I don't, they kill Nathan. If I do, they probably kill him anyway. We need more information. Frank is still digging into Daniel Cross. Once we know who we're dealing with, we can figure out next steps. After they hung up, Marcus paced his apartment. The space that had always felt like a sanctuary now felt like a cage. He thought about the message, the signature. V. Who did he know with that initial? Victor? Vincent? Vaughn? He pulled out his laptop and started searching his email archives. 15 years of business correspondence, hundreds of names, but none that triggered recognition or seemed remotely likely to orchestrate something this elaborate. At 2 in the morning, Frank called. Found your connection. Daniel Cross did security consulting work 3 years ago for a law firm, Barton and Associates. They specialize in business litigation. One of their major cases 5 years back involved a buyout dispute for a hotel chain. My hotel chain? Bingo. Client was named Vincent Morgan. Ring any bells? The name hit Marcus like a freight train. Vincent Morgan, the architect from his first hotel project, 15 years ago. Marcus had been 23, hungry, brilliant, and utterly ruthless. Vincent had been a minority partner, talented architect but with a drinking problem that was affecting his work. Marcus's lawyers had found a clause in their partnership agreement, a way to force a buyout at a dramatically reduced rate. Vincent had begged, literally begged, said he needed the money for his son's medical treatment. Leukemia, experimental procedures not covered by insurance. Could Marcus please be reasonable? Could they work something out? But Marcus had been building an empire, and empires weren't built on sentiment. He'd authorized the buyout, $75,000 for shares that would eventually be worth millions. Vincent had taken the money because he had no choice, had walked out of the meeting with shoulders slumped and eyes dead. Marcus had never thought about him again. Until now. Frank, what happened to Vincent Morgan? He changed his name legally 8 years ago. Vincent Morgan became Victor Reed, and Marcus, his son, died 7 years ago, age 5. Acute lymphoblastic leukemia, 2 months after you forced that buyout. Marcus felt the floor drop out from under him. Victor's son had died, at 5, the same age Nathan was now, 2 months after Marcus had taken away the money Vincent needed for treatment. Frank, find me everything on Victor Reed, where he lives, what he does, who he associates with, everything. Already on it. I'll have a full report by dawn. Marcus hung up and stared at nothing. He had done this. Not the kidnapping, but the foundation, the motive, the rage that had festered for 7 years and finally erupted into this calculated revenge. Your son for mine. Your suffering for mine. He walked to Emma's sleeping form and gently shook her shoulder. Her eyes snapped open immediately, fully alert, the instincts of someone who had never been safe enough to sleep deeply. Emma, I need your help. I need you to look at some pictures. He pulled up his laptop and started scrolling through old business photos. Construction sites, ribbon cuttings, award ceremonies. Emma studied each image carefully, her eidetic memory scanning for a match. Then she stopped, pointed at the screen. There, that's him. Marcus zoomed in on the photo, a company event from 12 years ago. Several men in suits standing in front of what would become the Sullivan Grand Hotel's flagship Manhattan location. And there, slightly apart from the main group, a man with dark hair just beginning to gray at the temples. sharp features, an expensive watch visible on his wrist. Vincent Morgan, now Victor Reed. You're sure? The hair is darker in this picture, but the face is right, sharp nose, the way he stands, and look at his hand. Marcus zoomed in further, zoomed in. On Victor's left hand, between thumb and forefinger, a small scar was visible, the kind that came from a workplace accident or a knife that slipped while cooking. Emma nodded firmly. That's him. That's the man who took Nathan. Marcus saved the photo and sent it to Frank with a message. This is our target, Victor Reed, formerly Vincent Morgan. Find him. 36 hours left. The sun rose over Manhattan, indifferent to Marcus's crisis. People went to work. Traffic clogged the streets. Life continued for everyone except Marcus and Nathan and the handful of people drawn into their orbit. Frank arrived at 7 with folders full of information. He looked like he hadn't slept either. Gray stubble on his jaw, coffee stains on his shirt, eyes red from staring at computer screens all night. Victor Reed owns 3 properties: an apartment in the Bronx, a cabin in the Catskills, and a warehouse in Red Hook. The warehouse is registered under a shell company, but I traced it back to him. Which one has Nathan? That's the question. I've got surveillance teams watching all 3. The warehouse had recent deliveries, children's food, apple juice boxes, goldfish crackers. Marcus stood abruptly. Then that's where he is. Maybe, but Marcus, there's something else you need to know. Frank pulled out another document. I dug into your company's current management, specifically your brother Ryan. Ryan? What does he have to do with this? Ryan Sullivan met with Daniel Cross 4 times in the past month, including yesterday morning, 2 hours before the kidnapping. My surveillance caught them at a diner in Queens. Daniel handed Ryan an envelope. Ryan handed him what looked like a phone. The betrayal hit Marcus like a physical blow. His brother, his younger brother, who he'd given a vice presidency to, who he'd trusted with operations, who had always been in his shadow but whom Marcus had tried to help, to mentor, to include. Ryan, are you certain? Frank pulled out his phone and showed Marcus photos, clear images of Ryan and Daniel sitting in a booth. The exchange. Ryan's nervous glances around the restaurant, Daniel's cold professional demeanor. I did more digging. Ryan drafted a succession plan 6 months ago. If you're deemed unable to fulfill your duties as CEO, he becomes interim head. After 90 days, he can petition the board for permanent control. The pieces fell into place with sickening clarity. Victor wanted revenge. Ryan wanted power. Together, they had orchestrated the perfect crime. Make Marcus believe Nathan was dead, watch him fall apart, then swoop in to take control of Sullivan Grand Hotels while Marcus was too devastated to fight back. And Nathan was just a pawn, a piece to be sacrificed once his usefulness expired. Where's Ryan now? His apartment on the Upper West Side. Get David. Tell him to meet me there. We're going to have a conversation with my brother. Ryan Sullivan lived in a luxury apartment building with a doorman who knew better than to ask questions when Marcus Sullivan showed up with 2 serious-looking men at 8 in the morning. They rode the elevator to the 14th floor in silence. Frank had his hand inside his jacket. Marcus knew he was carrying. The weight of a gun suddenly felt necessary in a way it never had before. Marcus knocked. 3 sharp raps. Movement inside. Footsteps. The door opened to reveal Ryan, still in his pajamas, hair disheveled, coffee cup in hand. When he saw Marcus, his face went through a journey. Surprise, guilt, fear, then a desperate attempt at normalcy. Marcus, Jesus, I heard about Nathan. I'm so sorry. I was going to call, but I thought you'd want space. Marcus pushed past him into the apartment. Frank and David followed. Ryan backed up, setting his coffee down with shaking hands. What's going on? Marcus pulled out his phone and showed Ryan the surveillance photos. Ryan's face drained of color. I can explain. Explain how you conspired to kidnap my son? Explain how you let me identify another child's body? Explain how you were going to let me sign over my company while Nathan was being held hostage? Ryan's shoulders slumped. The facade crumbled. He sat down heavily on his couch, head in his hands. I didn't know it would go this far. I swear to God, Marcus. Daniel said it was just leverage, scare you into signing over temporary control. Then Nathan would be found safe and sound, and everything would be fine. Who's Daniel working for? Ryan looked up with red-rimmed eyes. Victor Shreed. He approached me 6 months ago at a bar, started talking about how you'd screwed him over years ago, how his son died because you were too greedy to give him a fair deal. I was drunk and bitter, and I said things I shouldn't have, about being in your shadow, about the board always comparing me to you. So you decided to help him kidnap Nathan? No, I decided to help him get revenge on you through business. Force you to step down, let me take over. That was supposed to be it, but then Victor said we needed more leverage, something to guarantee you wouldn't fight us in court later. He suggested making you think Nathan was dead, just for a day or two, long enough to break you emotionally. Marcus's hands clenched into fists. Every muscle in his body screamed to hit Ryan, to hurt him the way Nathan was being hurt. But he needed information more than he needed violence. Where is Nathan? I don't know. Victor doesn't trust me completely. He only tells me what I need to know. Where are Victor's properties? I've never been to any of them. I only ever met him in public places or communicated through Daniel. Frank stepped forward. Your nephew is being held by a man planning to kill him. You're going to tell us everything you know, or I'm going to make you wish you had. Ryan looked at Frank, then at Marcus, then down at his hands. When he spoke again, his voice was barely a whisper. There are 3 locations: an apartment, a cabin, and a warehouse. Victor mentioned the cabin once, said it was remote, perfect for keeping someone hidden. But he moved Nathan yesterday, said you were getting too close somehow. I think he's at the warehouse now. Where's the warehouse? Red Hook, near the waterfront. Old shipping facility. But Marcus, it's guarded. 2 guys, ex-military. They're not going to just let you walk in. Marcus pulled out his phone and called Frank's surveillance team. The warehouse in Red Hook, is there any activity? 1 vehicle came and went around midnight. Black Mercedes, 2 occupants visible. Marcus turned back to Ryan. You're going to help us get Nathan back. If Victor finds out I betrayed him, he'll kill me. Your nephew is 5 years old and terrified. You're going to help me, or I'm going to let Frank here explain to the police exactly what your role in this kidnapping was. Conspiracy to kidnap a minor. You'll spend the next 20 years in prison. Ryan's face crumbled. Tears started flowing. The younger brother who had always lived in Marcus's shadow was now facing the consequences of trying to escape it through violence. Okay, I'll help. But Marcus, Victor is dangerous. He's not the man you remember. 7 years of grief and rage have turned him into something else. He wants you to suffer the way he suffered. And if that means killing Nathan, he'll do it. Then we'd better move fast. Back at Marcus's apartment, the war room took shape. Maps spread across his dining room table. Satellite images of the Red Hook warehouse that Frank had somehow acquired. Blueprints from the building's original construction that David pulled from city archives. Emma sat cross-legged on the floor, studying everything with her intense green eyes. For a 5-year-old, she had a remarkable ability to focus when something mattered. There, she said, pointing at the blueprints. That's a loading dock, big doors. Probably how they got Nathan inside without being seen. Frank nodded approvingly. Kid's got good instincts. The loading dock faces away from the street, 1 camera covering it, but it's got a blind spot here. He pointed to a corner where the camera's angle wouldn't reach. When do we go? Marcus asked. Not we, me and my team. You stay here. The hell I will, that's my son. And you're an untrained civilian who will get yourself and possibly Nathan killed if you rush in without knowing what you're doing. Frank's voice was firm, but not unkind. I was special forces for 8 years before I became a cop. I know how to extract hostages from hostile situations. You know how to negotiate hotel contracts. Let me do what I'm good at. Marcus wanted to argue. Every instinct screamed at him to be there, to be the one who rescued Nathan. But Frank was right. Going in unprepared would only make things worse. How long will it take? We go tonight, 2 a.m. Guards will be tired. We'll have darkness on our side. I'll have 3 men with me, all former military. We go in quiet, extract Nathan, and get out before anyone knows what happened. And if something goes wrong, Frank met Marcus's eyes. Then we adapt. But Marcus, you need to be ready for something. There's a chance Nathan won't be there. Victor might have moved him again, or this could be a trap. Victor knows you're looking for Nathan by now. He might be expecting us. I don't care, we have to try. Ryan, who had been sitting silently in the corner since they returned, spoke up. There's another problem. The deadline. You have 30 hours left to transfer the company. If Victor doesn't hear from you soon, he's going to assume you're not cooperating. He might move Nathan again. Or worse. Marcus pulled out his phone. The text from V was still there. Instructions would follow. As if summoned by thought alone, a new message appeared. Tomorrow, 2 p.m., lawyer's office, 450 Park Avenue, Suite 3200. Bring signed transfer documents. Come alone. Once verified, you'll be given your son's location. Try anything and we start sending pieces. Marcus felt bile rise in his throat. Pieces. They were talking about pieces of his 5-year-old son. Emma's small hand touched his arm. Mr. Sullivan, we're going to get Nathan back. I know we will. Her certainty in the face of such horror steadied him. If this little girl who had nothing could have faith, then Marcus could find courage. Frank, we go tonight as planned. David, prepare the transfer documents, but make them reversible. Some legal mechanism to undo them once Nathan is safe. I can build in a fraud clause. If we can prove coercion, the transfer is void. But Marcus, that only works if we survive to use it. One problem at a time. The rest of Thursday passed in agonizing slowness. Frank left to brief his team and gather equipment. David worked on the legal documents, calling in favors from judges and other lawyers. Ryan sat in Marcus's apartment, essentially under house arrest, watched by one of Frank's men. Emma stayed close to Marcus. At one point, she asked to see photos of Nathan. Marcus showed her his phone. Pictures from Nathan's birthday party. Nathan at the beach. Nathan's first day of kindergarten. He looks like a good brother, Emma said quietly. He would be. If you stay with us, after this is over, he'd love having a sister. Emma looked up at him with those two old eyes. You really mean that? You'd let me stay? Emma, you saved my son's life. As far as I'm concerned, you're already family. She didn't say anything, but she leaned against Marcus's side and he felt her small body relax slightly. Trust, hard-won from someone who had learned not to give it easily. At midnight, Marcus's phone buzzed. Frank, we're moving in 1 hour. Stay by your phone. If something goes wrong, I'll call. If it goes right, I'll bring Nathan straight to you. Frank, be careful. Always am. Marcus paced his apartment while Emma dozed fitfully on the couch. David had gone home to his family. Ryan sat handcuffed to a chair, both for his own safety and everyone else's peace of mind. One of Frank's men, a stone-faced former Marine named Torres, stood guard. 2 a.m. came and went, then 2:15, 2:30. Marcus's phone remained silent. At 2:45, it finally rang, Frank's voice tight with controlled anger. He's not here. Marcus's world tilted. What? We got into the warehouse, found evidence Nathan was here. Coloring books, apple juice boxes. A room set up like a child's bedroom. But Nathan is gone, moved within the past 12 hours based on the food still being fresh. Where? Where did they take him? We captured one of the guards. He says Victor moved Nathan yesterday afternoon. Didn't tell them where. Just said the package was being relocated to a more secure facility. Marcus felt panic rising like floodwater. 26 hours left on the deadline. Nathan somewhere unknown. Victor getting more paranoid. The guards say anything else? Yeah, he confirmed Victor is planning to kill Nathan after the transfer. Said Victor doesn't believe in loose ends. Marcus, even if you sign over the company, they're going to kill your son. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Torres' phone buzzed. He answered, listen, then his expression changed to alarm. Boss, we got a situation. Someone just pulled up to Mr. Sullivan's building. Black Mercedes. Daniel Cross is in the lobby asking to come up. Marcus's blood turned to ice. Daniel Cross, the man who had actually carried Nathan away from that pool. Here. Now. Let him up, Marcus said. Torres looked at him like he was insane. Sir, that's not a good idea. He's here for a reason. Maybe to deliver a message from Victor. Let him up, but be ready. Torres spoke into his phone. giving instructions to building security. Then he pulled his gun and positioned himself behind the door. 2 minutes later, a knock. 3 sharp raps. Torres opened the door with his gun pointed at Daniel Cross's chest. Daniel stood there, hands raised, no weapon visible. He was tall, just as Emma had described. Dark hair with gray streaks, sharp features, an expensive suit despite the late hour. And yes, that small scar on his left hand between thumb and forefinger. "I'm not armed," Daniel said calmly. "I'm here to talk to Marcus Sullivan." "Give me one good reason not to shoot you right now," Torres said. "Because I know where Nathan is. And because I'm done with Victor's revenge fantasy." Marcus stepped forward. "Let him in." Daniel entered slowly, hands still raised. Torres patted him down thoroughly. No weapons, just a phone and a wallet. "Sit," Marcus commanded, pointing at a chair. Daniel sat, looked around the apartment, saw Ryan handcuffed in the corner and showed no surprise. Saw Emma on the couch and his expression softened slightly. "You're the girl from the pool. Emma, right?" Emma nodded silently. "You've got good eyes, kid. Most people wouldn't have noticed what you noticed." "Where's Nathan?" Marcus's voice was hard as iron. Daniel met his gaze. "Catskills, the cabin. Victor moved him there yesterday. But before I tell you exactly this you need to understand something. I'm not doing this out of the goodness of my heart. I'm doing this because Victor crossed a line. You kidnapped a 5-year-old child. What line is left to cross? The line where he threatens my daughter." Daniel's jaw tightened. "I have an 8-year-old girl, Sarah, lives with her mother in New Jersey. I send money every month. I'm not father of the year, but I love that kid. Victor found out about her, said if I don't follow through with his plan, if I don't make sure you sign those papers and then eliminate Nathan afterward, he'll take Sarah. So you're here to save your daughter by helping me save my son? I'm here because a man who would threaten an 8-year-old girl to control me is a man I no longer work for. Victor's not about justice anymore. He's about inflicting maximum pain, and I won't be part of hurting kids." Marcus studied Daniel's face, searched for deception, found only exhaustion and genuine fear. "Tell me where the cabin is." Daniel pulled out his phone. "I'll do better than that. I'll show you, and I'll come with you. There are 2 guards there, plus Victor. You'll need someone who knows the layout." "How do I know this isn't a trap?" "You don't. But Victor expects me to be there tomorrow for the transfer. He expects me to bring Nathan's body as proof that loose ends have been tied up. If I help you rescue Nathan instead, I'm dead either way. The only way I survive this is if Victor goes to prison and can't get to Sarah. So yeah, I'm helping you. Not because I'm a good guy, but because it's my only play." Marcus looked at Torres, then at Emma, then back at Daniel. "If you're lying, if this is some trick, I will spend every dollar I have making sure you never see daylight again." "Understood. Then let's go get my son." 5 vehicles left Manhattan at 3:30 in the morning. Frank and his team in 2 SUVs. Marcus, Emma, and Daniel in Marcus's car, driven by Torres. And David following in his own vehicle, carrying the legal documents that might or might not be needed. Ryan stayed behind, still handcuffed, guarded by Frank's remaining man. Before they left, Ryan had grabbed Marcus's arm. "Marcus, I'm sorry. God, I'm so sorry. When this is over, I'll face whatever consequences you think I deserve. But please, please bring Nathan home safe." Marcus had pulled away without responding. Forgiveness would wait. Right now, only Nathan mattered. The drive to the Catskills took 2 hours. Daniel gave directions to a remote area deep in the mountains where cell service was spotty at best. The cabin sat at the end of a dirt road surrounded by dense forest. As dawn approached, Frank pulled all the vehicles off the road half a mile away. They gathered in the pre-dawn darkness, Frank's team checking weapons and equipment, Daniel sketching the cabin's layout in the dirt with a stick. 2 guards. One usually stays outside, patrolling, the other inside near the basement where Nathan is being held. Victor sleeps upstairs, light sleeper. Any noise and he'll be up and armed in seconds. "How do we get Nathan out without alerting them?" Marcus asked. "We don't. We go in hard and fast. Neutralize the guards, secure Victor, extract Nathan, It'll be loud and messy, but it's our best shot. Emma tugged on Marcus's sleeve. I should go in first. Everyone stared at her. Nathan knows my voice. He's probably terrified. If he hears gunshots and grown men yelling, he might panic. But if I call to him, tell him it's safe, he'll come. Absolutely not, Marcus said. You're 5 years old. I'm not putting you in danger. I've been in danger my whole life, Mr. Sullivan. This is the first time it's for someone worth saving. Frank knelt down to Emma's level. Kid, you've got guts, but this is a tactical operation. Trained professionals only. Nathan won't trust professionals. He'll trust me. Daniel cleared his throat. She's not wrong. If the boy is in a locked basement room, scared out of his mind, having a familiar voice might be the difference between a smooth extraction and a hostage situation. Marcus looked at Emma's determined face, at her green eyes that had seen too much for someone so young, at the courage she showed despite having every reason to hide from the world. You stay with Torres at all times. You don't move unless he says it's safe. And the second anything goes wrong, you run. Understood? Emma nodded solemnly. Frank synchronized watches. We move in 10 minutes. Torres, you and the kid are rear guard. You don't enter until we've secured the ground floor. Marcus, you're with David. You wait outside until we give the all clear. Daniel, you're with me. You try anything cute, I'll put you down first. Clear? Clear. The 10 minutes passed in terrible silence. Marcus watched the sky lighten from black to deep blue. Dawn coming. Somewhere in that cabin, Nathan was waking up to another day of captivity. Another day of fear. Hold on, buddy. Daddy's coming. Just hold on a little longer. Frank gave the signal. His team moved forward like shadows, weapons ready, training evident in every silent step. Daniel moved with them, familiar with this kind of work despite claiming to be reformed. Marcus waited, every second an eternity, every heartbeat a countdown. Then the silence shattered. Gunshots, shouting, the crack of a door being kicked in. More shots, a scream, someone yelling, clear. Then second target down. Torres spoke into his radio. Give me a status. Frank's voice crackled back. Ground floor secure, 2 guards neutralized. Moving upstairs. Wait for my signal. More footsteps, a door crashing open. Victor's voice, hoarse with rage and sleep. You have no idea what you've done. Frank again. Target secured. Torres, bring them in. Torres looked at Marcus. That's our cue. They moved toward the cabin. It was larger than Marcus expected. 2 stories, well maintained. The kind of place someone might rent for a peaceful mountain getaway, not for holding a kidnapped child. The front door hung off its hinges. Inside, Frank's team had 2 men zip-tied on the floor. Both guards, both conscious but subdued. Upstairs, Marcus could hear Victor shouting. The basement, Daniel said, pointing to a door. Nathan's down there, tease him. Torres went first, gun drawn, clearing each step. Emma followed close behind. Marcus came last, heart pounding so hard he thought it might burst from his chest. The basement was finished, carpeted, painted walls, almost cozy except for the heavy lock on one of the doors. Torres shot the lock off. The sound was deafening in the enclosed space. The door swung open. A small figure sat in the corner of the room, clutching a teddy bear. Light brown hair, hazel eyes wide with fear, freckles across his nose. Wearing the same pajamas he'd had on 2 days ago when this nightmare began. Nathan. Nathan! Marcus's voice broke. He rushed forward, dropped to his knees. Nathan stared for a moment, as if unable to believe what he was seeing. Then recognition dawned. Daddy? I'm here, buddy. I'm here. You're safe now. Nathan launched himself into Marcus's arms, small body shaking with sobs. Marcus held him, feeling the warmth, the reality of his son alive and whole. Tears streamed down his face without shame. I knew you'd find me, Nathan whispered into Marcus's shoulder. Mr. Whiskers said you always find me. I was being brave like you taught me. You were so brave, so incredibly brave. Emma appeared in the doorway. Nathan looked up, still clinging to Marcus. You're the girl from the pool. You saw me. I told your daddy you were alive. Nobody believed me at first, but I knew. Nathan reached out one hand to Emma while keeping the other locked around Marcus's neck. Emma took his hand and squeezed. Thank you for saving my daddy, Nathan said. Thank you for being worth saving. Upstairs, Victor's voice had gone silent. Marcus carried Nathan up the basement stairs, Emma following close behind. Torres and Frank's team had secured the cabin completely. The guards were being loaded into one of the SUVs. Victor sat in a chair in the living room, hands cuffed behind his back, two of Frank's men standing guard. When Victor saw Nathan alive in Marcus's arms, something in his expression broke. Not anger, not rage, something deeper and more painful. He's alive, Victor said hoarsely. You actually got him back alive. Marcus met Victor's eyes, saw not a monster, but a father who had lost everything and had tried to make someone else feel that same loss. It didn't excuse what Victor had done, but it explained it in a way that went beyond simple evil. Your son, Alex, I'm sorry. I was young and ruthless, and I didn't see you as a father. I saw you as a business problem. What I did was legal, but it was morally wrong. I've lived with that guilt, even though I didn't know Alex had died. But Victor, he gestured to Nathan, this doesn't bring Alex back. This just creates more pain. Victor's eyes filled with tears. I wanted you to understand, to feel what I felt, that helplessness, that rage at the universe for taking away the only thing that mattered. I understand now. I felt it. For 2 days, I lived in the hell you've been living in for 7 years. And I'm sorry, truly, deeply sorry, but Nathan is innocent. He's 5 years old. He's the same age Alex was. Would Alex want you to hurt another child? Victor's face crumpled. Sobs racked his body. Alex was good, kind. He wouldn't have wanted any of this. God, what have I become? Police sirens wailed in the distance, growing closer. David must have called them once the cabin was secure. Frank knelt beside Victor. Victor Reed, you're under arrest for kidnapping, conspiracy, assault, and about 15 other charges I'll let the DA figure out. You have the right to remain silent. As Frank read Victor his rights, Marcus carried Nathan outside into the dawn. The sun was rising over the mountains, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink. A new day, a fresh start. Nathan looked up at his father with those hazel eyes that had seen too much fear, but were still capable of wonder. Daddy, are you going to leave again? For work? Marcus held his son closer. No, buddy, work can wait. You're what matters. You and Emma and our family. That's all that matters now. Emma stood nearby looking uncertain. Nathan reached out to her again. Emma should stay with us. She's a hero. She is, Marcus agreed. If Emma wants to stay, she can stay forever. Emma's eyes filled with tears, the kind that came from hope instead of fear. Really? Really, you're family now. The police cars arrived, officers emerging to take custody of Victor and the guards. Paramedics checked Nathan over, pronounced him physically healthy despite the trauma. David handled the legal necessities, making statements, coordinating with the DA's office. Through it all, Marcus held Nathan, and Emma stayed close. A strange, improvised family forged in crisis but bound by something stronger than blood. Bound by love and sacrifice and the courage to hope when hope seemed impossible. As they loaded into the car for the drive back to Manhattan, Nathan fell asleep in Marcus's lap. Mr. Whiskers clutched tight. Emma dozed against Marcus's side, and Marcus stared out the window at the passing landscape, his son's breath steady and real and alive. He had almost lost everything. His company, his son, his reason for living. But in the end, he had gained something more valuable. He had learned what truly mattered. And he had found a daughter in the most unexpected place. The countdown was over. The nightmare was ending. And tomorrow, they would begin to heal. 3 months later, the courtroom was silent except for the judge's voice. Marcus sat in the front row with Nathan and Emma, both in new clothes that actually fit. Behind them, Jennifer and her partner Thomas, a strange extended family forged by crisis. Mr. Reed, please stand, Judge Morrison said. Victor rose, thinner, grayer, eyes carrying something Marcus hadn't expected. Remorse. The prosecutor asked for 25 years. The defense attorney pleaded for 15 with counseling. Then Victor spoke. I don't expect forgiveness. I terrorized a child to make his father feel my pain. I thought revenge would fill the hole where my son used to be. His voice broke. But seeing Nathan alive, I realized the truth. Revenge didn't bring Alex back. It just meant two fathers suffering instead of one. He turned to Nathan. You did nothing to deserve what I put you through. You're braver than I ever was. I hope you never become what I became, a man so consumed by loss that he can't see anything else. Judge Morrison consulted her notes. Loss of a child explains your mental state, Mr. Reed, but it doesn't excuse kidnapping and planning murder. The sentence is 20 years in state prison. Eligibility for parole after 12 years, contingent on psychiatric treatment and demonstrated rehabilitation. The gavel fell. Victor looked back once at Nathan and mouthed, I'm sorry. In the car afterward, Nathan asked, Daddy, is the sad man going to jail for a long time? Yes, buddy. He was mean, but he was also sad. Can someone be both? Marcus felt his throat tighten. Yes, people can be both. That's what makes the world complicated. Do you forgive him? Emma watched Marcus carefully, waiting for his answer. I'm working on it, Marcus said honestly. Forgiveness is hard. It takes time. But I'm trying, because hate is heavy, Nathan, and I don't want to carry it anymore. Mr. Whiskers says forgiveness makes more room for love. Mr. Whiskers is a very smart bear. Ryan stood before Judge Chen for sentencing. Marcus stood and addressed the court. Your Honor, what my brother did was unforgivable. But he also helped save Nathan's life. He showed remorse. I'm not asking you to let him walk free. I'm asking you to give him a chance at redemption. Because people can change if they're given the opportunity. Judge Chen sentenced Ryan to 8 years, eligible for parole in 4. Use that time to become the man your brother believes you can be. Ryan mouthed, thank you, I'm sorry. Marcus nodded, not forgiveness yet, but a start. The legal aftermath continued. Sarah Anderson, the nanny who had accepted $50,000, received a suspended sentence. 2 years probation. 500 hours of community service. In the hallway, she apologized through tears. I didn't know what they were planning. I needed the money for my mother's bills. I'm so sorry. Marcus looked at her tear-stained face and saw genuine remorse. I hope you find peace. I hope you use this second chance to be better. Sarah left New York 2 weeks later. Marcus heard she was working with at-risk youth in California now, trying to make amends. Daniel Cross served 4 years before parole. 6 months before his release, Marcus received a letter. Mr. Sullivan, I don't expect forgiveness, but I want you to know I'm trying to be better. I attend therapy. I teach inmates to read. I write to my daughter every week. When I get out, I'm going to prove people can change. Not for your approval, but because my daughter deserves a father she can be proud of. Marcus never responded, but when he heard Daniel had reunited with his daughter and was rebuilding his life, Marcus felt something unexpected. Gratitude. Because Daniel had made the right choice in the end, had saved Nathan when he could have killed him. People were complicated, capable of terrible things and redemptive things, sometimes both at once. Marcus stepped down as CEO, promoted Patricia Chen, who had been running operations more effectively anyway. He became chairman of the board, strategic thinking without constant presence. He left the office at 5 p.m. every day. Nathan had soccer at 6. Emma had art class Tuesdays. Family dinner at 7 was non-negotiable. The penthouse got redecorated, less minimalist, more lived in. Nathan's drawings on the refrigerator, Emma's school projects everywhere. Mr. Whiskers had a permanent couch spot. Marcus hired Dr. Maya Patel for the children. Saw his own therapist, Dr. Robert Chen, who had been suggesting therapy for a decade. You built an empire at the expense of relationships, Dr. Chen said. Now you're rebuilding, but this time you're building something that matters. An envelope arrived on a Tuesday. Inside, a letter from Elizabeth Reed, Victor's ex-wife, delivered posthumously through her lawyer. Dear Mr. Sullivan, if you're reading this, Victor has done something terrible. I'm writing from desperate hope that these words might provide understanding. I married Victor when he was Vincent Morgan. He was kind then, creative. When Alex was born, Victor became the father I knew he could be. Patient, loving, present. Alex's diagnosis broke something in Victor. When your business transaction forced the sale of his shares, he saw it as you choosing money over my son's life. I tried to tell him you didn't know about Alex's illness, but grief doesn't listen to logic. When Alex died, the man I married disappeared. Someone consumed by rage replaced him. He drank, he raged, he planned revenge. I left because I couldn't watch him destroy himself. Mr. Sullivan, Alex was the kindest child. He worried about others' feelings. He shared his toys. He cried seeing homeless people and asked why we couldn't bring them all home. Alex would never have wanted revenge, would never have wanted another child to suffer. If he could speak to his father, he'd beg him to choose forgiveness over rage. I don't ask forgiveness on Victor's behalf, but I ask you remember Alex as he was, kind, loving, full of grace. Let that be his legacy, not whatever terrible thing his father did in his name. With deep regret, Elizabeth Reed. Marcus read it 3 times, tears blurring his vision. He made a copy, sent the original to Victor with a note. Victor, your wife wanted you to remember who Alex was, not what his death turned you into. Let your son's kindness survive, not your rage. Marcus. 2 weeks later, Victor responded, thank you. Elizabeth was right. Alex would have hated what I became. I'm trying to find my way back to the man she married. It's the hardest thing I've ever done, but I'm trying. Marcus established the Alex Reed Foundation, $10 million. Pediatric oncologists, social workers, financial advisors on the board, helping families with catastrophic medical expenses. Victor wrote back, thank you for making something good from something terrible. Alex would have liked that. Emma's adoption was finalized on a sunny Tuesday in May. Simple courthouse ceremony. Just Marcus, Nathan, Jennifer, David, and Frank. Emma wore a white dress, held flowers Nathan picked. Do you want to change your last name to Sullivan? The judge asked. Emma looked at Marcus with green eyes, learning to see beauty again. Yes, I want to be Emma Sullivan, Nathan's sister for real. Then by the power vested in me, Emma Reeves is now Emma Sullivan, with all the rights and responsibilities of family. Nathan cheered. Emma cried happy tears. Someone who'd spent 5 years without a home now had one forever. That night, tucking Nathan in, Daddy, am I still your favorite? You're not my favorite, Marcus said seriously. Nathan's face fell. Then Marcus smiled. You're tied for first place, you and Emma both. Love doesn't divide, it multiplies. So the more people we love, the more love there is. Exactly. Then I'm going to love everyone. In Emma's room, are you sure you want to keep me? I'm just a street kid who got lucky. Emma, you're brave, smart, loyal. You saved my son when you didn't have to. You're not here because of luck. You belong here, and I'm the lucky one. I got a daughter I didn't expect but needed. Promise you won't leave? I promise, you're my daughter now. Forever. The beach house was smaller than the penthouse, but had something it never had. Warmth, life, children laughing. Nathan was 12 now, middle school, soccer team captain. Still kind despite trauma. Maybe because of it. He understood pain, so he eased it for others. Emma was 12. Brilliant. Fierce. Started a mentoring program for foster kids. Remembered where she came from, wanted to help others find their way out. Marcus was 45. Gray threading blonde hair. Laugh lines. Still successful, but measured success differently now. Soccer games, school plays, family dinners, bedtime stories. Rachel Torres, Nathan's second grade teacher, who Marcus met 3 years ago. They talked, then coffee, then dating, then love, surprising and gentle and right. Together, 3 years, married 18 months. Small beach wedding, Nathan and Emma as ring bearer and flower girl. Now Sophie, 2 years old, a surprise baby that thrilled and terrified Marcus. Starting over at 43, but this time present. This time knowing what mattered. They were at the beach house for summer vacation, Nathan and Emma building sandcastles with Sophie, who mostly knocked things down laughing. Marcus and Rachel sat on the porch watching. You look happy, Rachel said. I am. It only took almost losing everything to figure out what everything actually was. His phone buzzed. Email from Victor Reed's lawyer. Subject, important update. Victor had been granted parole. After 12 years, 5 years exemplary behavior and psychiatric treatment completion, the board approved release. 30 days. Attached letter from Victor. Dear Marcus and Nathan, I've been granted parole. After 12 years, I'm being released. I'm not seeking contact or reconciliation. I'm simply grateful for the chance to live outside prison walls. I've spent these years becoming a better man. I work with the Alex Reed Foundation from prison, helping review applications. It's given my son's name meaning beyond death. Nathan is 12 now, the same age Alex would have been. I think about that, about the boy I hurt and the boy I lost. I hope Nathan is happy. I hope he's forgiven me, or will someday. Not for my sake, for his. Because carrying hate is a prison of its own. Marcus, you gave Alex's death meaning. You turned tragedy into hope. That's a gift I can never repay. I'll spend the rest of my life earning this second chance. With gratitude and remorse, Victor Reed. Marcus showed Rachel. How do you feel? I don't know yet, but I should tell Nathan. He deserves to know. That evening, Marcus took Nathan for a beach walk. Sunset painting oranges and pinks. Waves rolling eternal rhythm. Nathan, I got a letter from Victor Reed. He's being released next month. He's not seeking contact. He's worked hard to change. He hopes you're happy. Nathan skipped a stone. 3 bounces. Do you think people can really change? Yes, I've seen it in Victor, in Ryan, in myself. Change is possible if someone genuinely wants it and does the work. Do you forgive him? For real this time? 7 years of therapy, 7 years of healing, 7 years watching his son grow from traumatized 5-year-old to thoughtful, compassionate 12-year-old. Yes, Marcus said finally. Not because what he did was okay. It was terrible. But holding anger hurt me more than him. Forgiveness isn't about forgetting or excusing. It's about releasing the weight so you can move forward. Nathan nodded. I think I want to write him a letter. What would you say? That I was really scared, but I'm okay now. I have a good life with you and Emma and Rachel and Sophie. That I hope he has a good life too. That even though he hurt me, I don't want him to suffer forever. Marcus felt tears, his beautiful, compassionate son choosing grace instead of hate. That sounds like a very mature letter. Mr. Whiskers helped me think about it. He's good at forgiveness. Marcus smiled. Mr. Whiskers is very wise. That night, Marcus wrote his own letter. Victor, Nathan is thriving, wonderful boy, kind, smart, brave. He wants to write you himself, and I'll let him when he's ready. I'm sorry for what I did 15 years ago. Young and ambitious, I didn't see the human cost. Your son's foundation has helped over 2,000 families now. Children are alive because of it. That's his legacy. And in a strange way, yours too, because your actions, terrible as they were, led to this good. I forgive you. I hope you've forgiven yourself. Everyone deserves a second chance at peace. Marcus. He felt something release, the last weight he'd carried for 7 years. 3 months later, a package arrived. No return address, inside a wooden box, hand-carved, beautiful. A note. I made this in the prison workshop for Nathan if he wants it, or to throw away if that feels better. Thank you for your letters. They meant more than you know, living free and trying to earn it every day. V. Inside the box, a wooden bear, small, perfectly detailed, holding a tiny heart. Nathan appeared. What's that? A gift from Victor. He made it for you. Nathan studied it, then set it on the shelf next to Mr. Whiskers. They can be friends. The old bear who kept me safe and the new bear who says sorry. Emma came over, now 15, almost as tall as Marcus. That's profound, little brother. Sophie toddled over. Bear. Nathan picked her up. Yes, Sophie, this is the sorry bear. Someone did bad things, but now they're trying to be good again. It's called redemption. Sophie hugged his neck. Love you, Nafan. Love you too, Sophie. Rachel came in from gardening, dirt on her knees. Marcus pulled her close. We did okay, she said. Look at them. Happy. Whole. We did better than okay. We built something real. That night, Marcus stood at the beach house window, looking at ocean. Behind him, family slept. Nathan with both bears watching over him. Emma with books stacked high. Sophie clutching her rabbit. Rachel peaceful in their bed. He thought about the journey. From measuring success in quarterly earnings to measuring it in bedtime stories. From father who almost lost his son to father who gained a daughter and learned what mattered. Victor, somewhere rebuilding after 12 years in prison. Working with the foundation bearing his son's name. making amends. Living with regret, but not consumed by it. Ryan, released 2 years ago, rebuilding relationship with his daughter in Boston and slowly rebuilding trust with Marcus. Brothers don't give up on each other. Emma, the street kid with sharp eyes who saw truth when no one believed, who became his daughter in every way that mattered, who taught him family wasn't blood. It was choice and love and showing up every day. Nathan, his brave, compassionate, remarkable son, through hell at 5, emerged at 12 with wisdom beyond years, who chose forgiveness over bitterness, who understood people were complex, capable of good and evil, deserving of grace. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. Thank you for the chance to be better. Alex would have liked your family, especially Nathan. Take care of them. V. Marcus typed, I will. You take care too. He turned off his phone, checked on each child, kissed foreheads, adjusted blankets, whispered I love you into darkness. In Nathan's room, both bears sat on the shelf. Mr. Whiskers, worn from years of love, and the wooden bear Victor carved, smooth and new and full of apology. Together they watched over a boy who survived trauma and chose healing, who had every reason to hate but chose love instead. And in that choice, in that grace, everyone found redemption. The golden boy of American hospitality learned the hardest lesson. Empires crumbled. Success was fleeting, but family built on love and sacrifice and forgiveness, that endured. That was the only legacy that mattered. The end.